Hey everybody, what's up and welcome back to another Clash of Clans video, coming at you with something a little bit different today. Usually on this channel you'll see attack guides, attack replays. We really try and focus on the highest level of the game, whether that's competitive wars recaps, full attack guides for Town Hall 13, and things like that. Really try and focus on the strategy. Today we want to focus on something a little bit more defensive. Want to talk about this building in particular, the Eagle Artillery. Eagle Artillery is introduced in Town Hall 11 and has changed the game ever since that point. In Town Hall 11, it is without a doubt the strongest building when you're considering an attack. You have to plan for it early on in the attack if possible, because if you wait for the last half of the attack, especially if it's towards the end of the attack, raining down the artillery on your troops the whole time, very rarely will you have a triple. At Town Hall 12, when the Town Hall itself is introduced as a defense, there's that second priority on a base, but you still have to be very mindful of the Eagle Artillery. And even at Town Hall 13, when scatter shots are introduced and the Town Hall is made a little bit stronger, the Eagle Artillery still serves as probably the single most powerful defense on the base. Different, than the Town Hall, different than the scatter shots in how you have to plan and prep for it, but it is one of the most unique defenses, and today's video hopefully will help you understand it a little bit more, and that way help you plan for it in your attacks. It is one of two defenses on the map that will not activate at the beginning of an attack. If you put anything in range of a scatter shot, it'll attack it. If you put anything in range of an air defense, it'll attack it if it's an air troop. The Town Hall and the Eagle Artillery are the only two that will not activate until a certain point is met. For the Town Hall, that's 50% destruction, or when you damage the Town Hall. For the Eagle Artillery, it is when a certain number of troops hit the map. And so we will run into a quick friendly challenge and show off that number. This is a level 4 Eagle Artillery. It is a maxed Eagle Artillery, and we will just drop our troops. 5 healers is 70 troop space. If we do 2 balloons, that's 80, 2 more is 90. The baby drag is 100 troop space, and that Eagle is still not activated. We drop 2 hogs is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, still not activated. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 archers, and on the 200th troop, you'll see that Eagle opens right up, and then every 10 seconds for the rest of the attack, it's going to shoot those 3 barrage shots onto your army. It targets the area with the highest amount of hit points. And so if you've got a single huge tank, whether that's a golem, maybe your barbarian king, there's a good chance that the Eagle will target that because it is the highest hit point troop. But if you've got a whole army, whether it's hogs, miners, anything at all, and they are very close to each other and they have a higher hit point density, that's where the Eagle Artillery will target. But it will target the highest hit point density, whether that's the highest troop or group of troops, and it will deal 450 damage per shot, which is significant. And then 35 damage per shockwave is what they call it, the splash effect around the hit in particular. And so each one will deal not just 450 to the troop that it's locked onto, it'll deal 485 because that splash damage hits the first troop that it's locked onto as well. It'll deal 485 times 3 to the troop that it's locked onto, and then it'll deal 35 splash damage 3 times to the area that's all around it. It's a pretty small area, just a tile or 2, and so it's not going to be this huge splash defense that just decimates the army. But if you've got a group of hogs and they are all attacking the same building, moving together, it's pretty often the case with hogs and miners. The Eagle, obviously is going to do quite a bit of damage. Because it's 3 shots and there's just a split second in between each shot landing, a heal spell will be quite effective. It will heal up at least the splash damage between shots pretty effectively. So you can heal through an Eagle Artillery shot, but this video is not necessarily designed to how to take it down, how to counter it. It's just designed to help understand it because it seems straightforward. It triggers at 200 at levels 1, 2, and 3 for Town Hall 11 and Town Hall 12. It will trigger at 180 instead of 200, and that's because you don't have quite as much access to spells, you don't have quite as much access to troops at those town halls, and so it needs to trigger a little bit earlier to stay relevant in the attack. But at Town Hall 13, when you've got more troops, when you've got more spells, they increase that buffer to 200. And it seems straightforward. You've got your army of 280, but then you run into a lot of questions about what's going to happen when you drop spells. How much is a spell worth? When you drop troops, how much is a troop worth? Those don't take up army camp space in the same way as army troops do. Siege machines as well. And if you ever have those concerns, if you've ever got those questions, then this video is for you. Because in the next friendly challenge, we're going to walk through how much each troop is worth, how much each spell is worth, each hero, and each siege machine. All right, and we're into a friendly challenge against Mr. Mac, our partner to the YouTube channel with Mac's Attacks. This is his base up here. He didn't mind us sharing it. We're going to stay away from the Eagle Artillery so that we don't accidentally take it down, but we'll start with a pretty typical attack. And it brings us to our first question in terms of the Eagle Artillery housing space consideration. How much is a hero worth? We'll drop our Queen, a Coco Loon, and 5 healers. And that's going to put us at an even 100 housing space as far as the Eagle Artillery is concerned. Healers, 5 of them, are going to be worth 70 troop space. The Coco Loon makes it 75, and every hero, Queen, King, Champ, and Warden, are all going to be worth 25. And so with all of this, the pretty standard opening puts us at an even 100. We are halfway there. The next question is how much is a spell worth? We just dropped a Rage for our example, and we're not concerned with this attack going very well, so we're not trying for the triple, but each spell is going to be worth 5 troop space per housing space. And so a Rage spell, is worth 2 housing space, takes up 2 out of your 11 at Town Hall 13. And that's going to be worth 10. And so with the 1 Rage, we are at 110. And we'll keep using a few spells just to get the number up, but before we do that, we'll drop the King and the Champ to funnel off the other side, keeping it kind of close to a regular attack. That's going to be 50 more, puts us at 160. 170 with that Rage over the Queen. We'll go 175 with a free spell on our Champ. And then 180, why not drop another free spell? And go with 190 as we drop that last one. And so we've got 10 left before it triggers, and it's pretty important to realize the King's ability went off, and the King makes more than 10 barbarians. We'll pop the Queen ability right now, and she makes more than 10 archers. And during all of this, the Eagle Artillery has not opened up, because spawned troops will never trigger the Eagle Artillery. They will never count towards housing space. And so the barbarians that are spawned during the ability, the Queen ability that spawns archers, none of those troops will count. Skeleton spells, witches, even clones. Cloned troops will never count towards the housing space consideration of the Eagle Artillery. And so it's only spells, and if you drop a clone, it will count as 15, but it won't count in terms of spawned troops. The Clan Castle troops as well, that would be 45 coming out, but we can drop them right there, and they also won't count. And so the game wants it to be easy for you as a player to be able to count towards the goal, and that's why the numbers are pretty even. Heroes are 25, spells are 5 apiece. You can count your own troops, and then we can see, as we drop archers, the 200th archer triggers that Eagle Artillery. And so the last question that we have, we'll jump into another quick friendly challenge, is to see how much a siege machine is worth. As we ask ourselves the question, how much is a siege machine worth, we're coming against the same base against Mac, and we will come at it about the same way. We'll go on a different side just for variety. Drop our Queen, Coco Loon, and 5 healers. Again, puts us at 100, so we are exactly halfway there. We'll go ahead and drop our King and Royal Champ to put us at 150. And then count out our spells as we get there. We'll drop a Coco Loon and a Baby Drag as 15 more. Puts us at 165. And that way our Queen might go inside 175 with the Rage spell. And we're not concerned with this attack going super well, just trying to make an example. 175. We'll go ahead and do 180 with the poison. And for simplicity, we'll go 190 with that last rage. And so it's at this point that we might want to be concerned about the siege machine if we don't know any better, because heroes are very valuable to an attack. They're worth 25, and siege machines being very valuable to an attack, we might expect to be worth quite a bit. But we'll go ahead and drop our siege machine here, and notice that the eagle has not activated at this point, despite the siege being dropped, despite the P.E.K.K.A. being brought out. And we know that we've used 190 of our housing space, so we know it's not worth 10. And we'll go ahead and drop a hog to put us at 195 of known value, and then the siege machine has already been dropped, and the eagle still has not activated. And we know spawned troops don't count, so that P.E.K.K.A., those wizards, are not counting towards it. The hogs come out, it's not counting towards it, and we'll show 1, 2, 3, 4 archers, and then the eagle activates. And so siege machines, whether it's the barracks that spawns a lot of troops or any other siege machine, is only going to be worth 1 housing space. And that's pretty important to know, because naturally we would assume that they'd be worth a little bit more, and there are always questions around whether or not the spawned troops from the siege machine or the clan castle troops are going to be worth anything towards the eagle, and the answer is they're not. The siege is worth 1, and so of everything to consider in how to plan around the eagle artillery, the siege machine is probably the last thing that should be on your mind. It will be worth 1 space. Alright, so the gist of this video is this. At levels 1, 2, and 3, the Eagle Artillery will trigger at 180 troop space. At level 4, that we see in Town Hall 13, it'll trigger at 200. If you look at your troops, they all tell you exactly how much housing space they take, and so it's straightforward when you're looking at your troops. All spells are going to be 5 per housing space, so most spells will be 2. The ones that take 2 housing space will be worth 10, and then the rest will be worth 5. And then heroes will be 25, siege machines will be 1, and never will a spawned troop count towards that 200 mark. It won't bring you over, it won't count towards it. If you're spawning troops through the siege barracks, heroes, whatever it is, they won't count at all. So why does this matter? Why is it important to count? For some attacks, it's not. For the Yeti Smash that we talked about the other day, you're never really going to be around that 200 mark. You're funneling with a Warden Walk, you're funneling with a King on one side. You might be getting a little bit close, but not realistically would you get very close to that 200 mark. For something that has a heavy Queen Walk, though, that you are investing 100 troop space worth of units into that Queen Walk, and then a lot more into the spells that go into a Queen Walk. You're putting some wizards down, a baby dragon, a Coco Loon to help funnel your queen, wall breakers. Anytime you're having that really heavy beginning to an attack like we can see in this hybrid laid out here, you're going to be getting pretty close to hitting that 200 mark. And if you can avoid hitting the 200 mark until your main army is down, that's going to be a really positive thing for your attack. If the eagle starts to go off while you're still funneling, that can be a huge detriment if it starts to target your funneling troops. So you want to avoid that at all costs. Most of the time, you're not going to have that problem with any attack, but when you've got a really heavy Queen Walk, and especially if you're putting the king and the champion on the other side, that's when you want to start counting your troops, being a little bit more precise, and making sure you don't hit that 200 mark. I hope you guys like this video. It's a little bit different, like I said, than what we'll normally do. If you do like the building breakdowns, let me know, and we can do that with some other content in the future. But if you don't, we'll stick with attacks coming into the future. As you can look at our channel, you'll see that we recently rebranded, got a new name, got some new graphics. Hope you guys like it. And if you've got any feedback for the channel, what you want to see in the next video, or whether or not you liked this building breakdown, feel free to let me know. This is Lionheart, and we will see you in the next Clash video.